You're rolling.
Howdy everybody, I'm Dr. Randy Borresen and I am 68 years old. Now I started this whole thing 50 years ago when I was 18 and I decided to go on a raw food diet and to make living raw juice, and I've done 10 years of the Science of Super Health seminars and I'm back again to tell you all about it. So we've got this big problem, we've got the problem with the SARS disease. Well, let's just talk about this sheltering in place. Here we have a chart on the lymphatic circulation. Well, that's where your killer T white blood cells are that are going to recognize and destroy any virus that come into your body. The problem is your lymphatics have no pump. If you sit inactive, worrying about this whole thing, you're not going to be able to move your circulation through the lymph nodes and release the most powerful arm of your white blood cells. So, on our next chart here, you can see that we have a whole, this is actually an enlarged version of a lymph node. And it's in the lymph nodes themselves that the killer T and the B lymphocytes, which are your antibodies, that bring about the recognition of your problem, the amplification, the attack, and then finally you release a memory cell, a memory T cell that is your immune system. Without the circulation through the lymph node, through the activity of the rising and falling of the diaphragm and the expansion and the contraction of the muscles, then you're unable to access this most critical arm of your immune system. The next thing that you must be aware of is the fact that humans have alkaline pH chemistry. Now, the problem for us and all of us is that the entire food kingdom is acid forming in the body. The nut, the seed, the bean, the grain, milk and eggs and meat, all of them being rich in amino acids and fatty acids, cause them to have an acid pH chemistry. The only thing that we have been given to maintain our alkalinity are fruits and vegetables in their raw form. So I have a 50% rule here down at the bottom of the chart, which states that unless at least 50% of your solid capacity of the food that you eat per day is raw fruits and vegetables, you're not going to be able to maintain this alkaline pH chemistry. What's the upshot of that? Well, all pathological microorganisms and cancer itself actually lives in a medium of acid pH. So the more acidic you are, the more your microflora in your intestines can shift from beneficial bacteria to the pathological bacteria, which of course is always causing you to say, oh, something was going around and now I'm sick. No, actually, it's your internal environment that's creating your sickness. So fruits and vegetables, high circulation to flush your lymphatic vessels and to stimulate your nodes to make your killer T lymphocytes is the critical issue. Now, next up, we have the human cell. Now, the outer barrier of every cell in your body is made from fatty acids. Fat. They call them fatty acids, but they actually have a ball on the end of a string, kind of like a balloon on a string. The balls are phosphorus and the tails are fatty acids. Now, there are only 4 types of fats in the food kingdom. Very easy to remember. Think of this: 0, 1, 2, 3. Saturate, mono, double, triple, unsaturated. So, getting back to the cell membrane is tuned by the viscosity of the 4 fats. The saturated white animal fat that you see on bacon and a steak, when you take it and have it on the counter before you cook it, it's solid at room temperature. This is a sticky, waxy, pasty, solid material that doesn't melt until you raise the temperature to 150 degrees. As soon as you step into the vegetable kingdom, a monounsaturated, then you have liquid at room temperature. And so you go from thickest to thinnest. So the double fats are thinner, and the thinnest viscosity of them all are the omega-3s. These tune the cell membrane and create what's known as membrane fluidity. If your diet predominates in dairy, meat, bacon, and high amounts of sugar, which your body converts into saturated fat and cholesterol, the membrane will not respirate properly. But once you move into having an abundance of natural nuts and seeds, the sunflower, sesame, and pumpkin, and flax oil, chia, and hemp seeds, the membrane fluidity optimizes so that the cell can respirate biological waste out of the cell, and electrochemically, by the action of the two essential fatty acids, they are responsible for electrochemically pulling oxygen into the cell. Oxygen and the alkaline pH are the two fundamental arms of your well-being. Again, pathological germs have what's known as anaerobic cellular metabolism, and cancer itself is an anaerobic cellular reproduction system. So to the degree with which you can oxygenate your cell and maintain your alkaline pH chemistry, you are going to build a foundation that resists all forms of sickness and disease. Moving along, no one has ever achieved health by allowing the exhaust pipe at the bottom of your digestive tract to accumulate with a thick plaque of dead, cooked glop and saturated animal fat and cholesterol. This is almost universal in the public. These are too small to see, but they are drawings of colons that had collapsed and formed plaque. The same way that the arteries get arterial sclerosis, they become smaller and smaller and constricted with a thick plaque of dead, cooked food from as much as decades ago. And then this is being absorbed back up into your blood, polluting your body every day of your life, giving headaches, endless depression. Imagine having old poop in your body from years ago, dried as a plaque inside of your intestines. Well, the way to take care of this is, once again, to rely on large amounts of enzyme-rich, fiber-rich, raw fruits and vegetables, of which the cellulose moves along the walls of the intestinal tract, absorbing the biological waste, scraping in its natural function, and stimulating the peristaltic wave that helps to sweep things through the colon. Without raw fiber, the body is not able to effectively cleanse the human digestive tract. The plaque builds up, and then you have the foundation of the very germ theory itself. Germs occur in nature as the final decomposers. When an animal dies in the forest and you come across it, you see that it's dried and it's all shriveled and it's being eaten literally by microorganisms until it decomposes to bone and then goes right into the dirt. Germs, if you allow this plaque to build up in your colon from eating an excessive amount of highly processed, dead cooked food, you then create a legal situation for these germs to then come in and be the final decomposers of your dead food that you allowed to accumulate in your intestine. Then from the intestines, these germs move into the blood. You very easily can overwhelm your white blood cells, where all they do all day long is take up your own, they used to call it auto-intoxication. The putrefaction and fermentation coming off your colon is being neutralized by your own white blood cells. What if they had nothing to do? What if your colon was absolutely perfectly clean and you were completely alkaline? Well, your body would have enough reserves so that when the terrible virus of the COVID-19 comes into society, then you would immediately have the whole strength of your white blood cells available to press the attack. All right, so we have 2 non-essential and 2 essential fatty acids. Best source: sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. And over here, just buy flax oil. Highest known source in the world of omega-3 is flax oil. 58% of its oil is omega-3. On this chart, now, you're sitting around and you're worrying. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay the bills? What if I got sick? Then what? Well, years ago they used to think the mind was in the human brain. But on research they found that the cells of the body communicate back and forth with each other by neuropeptides. Neuropeptides can completely alter the state of any part of the body because the brain is listening, the brain is commanding, and the cells are responding back and forth. So you're sitting around, oh, I'm going to get sick. I just know it. I get sick every winter anyway. And I haven't felt good all winter. And now this. You, with a negative mental attitude, you are telling your neuropeptides that you're going to get sick. On the other hand, if you have positive emotions and you're commanding yourself to be healthy, these neuropeptides are then completely upregulated against the attack of this virus should it come into your body. So the most important thing that you can do is to believe that you are not going to get sick. You're going to exercise, you're going to get your fruits and vegetables going, you're going to, and we're going to get onto zinc and some quercetin, how you can actually block the connection of the COVID virus. But by all means, you have to believe that you will not get sick to optimize this very powerful and oftentimes overlooked part of your immune system, the neuropeptides in the mind-body connection. I can't get sick. It is impossible. I've been going around telling the people I've been meeting over the last 2 weeks, they go, oh, how are you doing? And I go, what? What are you talking about? I can't get sick. I've never been sick. Heck, I'm the author of The Science of Superhealth. How can I get sick? And part of it is because I don't believe I'm going to get sick. I do everything that I've ever learned, and I've made it a discipline in my life to make sure that I built my life around all these fundamental principles, and here I am, rah, full of energy and well-being. All right, moving right along, we have some more charts. Now, most people are told, whatever you do, do not go out in the sun. You will instantly get skin cancer, or not instantly, but you're quite capable of getting sun cancer, skin cancer, if you go out in the sun. Yet sunlight is what is responsible for all life on Earth. The microphotoplankton in the sea is the beginning of the food chain. The photosynthetic bacteria on land, the photosynthetic plants creating all of the food energy source for all of the humans, and then the chemical reaction of the sunlight photons working on our skin in the skin cells to create melatonin, which then is converted in the liver into a chemical called cholecalciferol, but known as vitamin D. Vitamin D then migrates to your intestinal lining and facilitates the uptake of minerals. Are you jittery? Are you nervous? Are you worried about your teeth and your bones and have all kind of anxiety? Maybe you need to calm down with magnesium and calcium and all the trace minerals that are absorbed through the activity of vitamin D, hormone that you make from sunlight. And they've also identified that there's a great number of these white blood cells that are also stimulated in their manufacture whenever your skin is exposed to vitamin D. And then, of course, there's the seasonally affected disorder, the depression that comes in the northern latitudes where people are unable to get out into the sunlight for the cold and for the cloud cover that is present in so much of the northern hemisphere. And towards the end of the winter, people find themselves just depressed. And then how do you feel on those first days of spring when there's not a cloud in the sky and it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit and you're out walking in a field flush with wildflowers? You feel fabulous because the photons of the sun come in through your eyes and then migrate to the pituitary gland in the center of your brain. The pituitary is responsible as the master regulator that then controls the entire endocrine gland system of the body. No sunlight, no pituitary stimulation, and depression is often the result. Next, we have sleep. Sleep, you can do all the exercise that you're capable of doing, and you can eat as perfectly as you know how to eat, and nothing takes place until you fall asleep, and then your brain releases this chemical, human growth hormone. It's responsible for all cellular growth and all repair. And you just know that if you have a sleepless night, you're not going to have as good a day. And if it goes on for several days, then you feel horrible. Sleep deprivation will alter your ability to repair the very cells that you use up on a day-to-day basis and compromise you more than anything else. So by all means, we have to get the proper amount of sleep. And as time goes along, it's a good idea, if possible, and certainly one day a week, to even take a nap. Even a 15-20 minute break of laying down and resting can oftentimes revitalize you. So also think when you are sick, when everything is going wrong, what's the single biggest requirement in sickness of any type? It's always rest. So it's only in rest that the body receives human growth hormone. Next is the miracle of fasting, and this has its place. A person can take a 24-hour fast where they drink purified water, or perhaps they have a juice machine or a hand reamer to make orange juice. And by drinking liquid only and allowing the body a physiological rest from squeezing and digesting and pushing solid food through the intestines, you give the body a chance to dump the biological waste that accumulates in the cells of the body. This is moved through the lymphatics into the intestinal tract and swept out through the colon by the action of the cellulose in the raw food that you're eating from more fruits and vegetables, and draws this biological waste out of your body. If you're stuffing your face 3 times a day with fat and sugar and fried and alcohol and coffee and recreational drugs and the like, your body simply becomes overwhelmed. The germs build up, the waste builds up inside of you. The germs come as the final decomposers to break all that down, and you find yourself sick. And what do animals do when they hurt themselves? They stop eating. So it's instinctive in animals and lost instinctively in humans, the miracle of fasting. It takes energy to digest food, and that is diverted into the release of the worst types of poisons that humans are now exposed to today. In order for your body to release stored concentrations of insecticide, petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals that you've taken in the past, know this, that when you take any drug, even a headache pill, that is going to have a given effect, but once the effect is over, the spent residue of that synthetic, non-self material sits in your tissue. And the body needs to break it down and move it along through the 4 organs of elimination: the skin, the lung, the bowels, and the kidneys. And when you fast, you give your body the physiological rest and the power to squeeze these non-self poisons out of the body. So for years, for centuries, the wise thing to do in a time of sickness is to fast. And it's used in a proper balance with the good diet. And I myself, when I first began my foray from childhood sickness into this new world of eating raw food, I was employing a 24-hour fast, and then 36, and then 48. And then finally, I did a week-long fast. And after that was over, I left home and I drove around the country to find someplace else to live so that I could pursue this high, exalted sense of well-being that I had created by a deep cleanse of all of my childhood sickness, and learned all these principles and have applied them to this day. Another topic that is of interest today, everyone is concerned about having high quality water. Now, in all of the years that I have been reading, I have never in any health book ever read where the author said, and make certain that you drink plenty of chlorinated tap water. No one would ever say anything like that. You need to have some sort of cleaned up water. So what is water anyway? Well, there are really, if you want to break it down and put them into categories, there's only 3 types of water. There's dirty water, clean water, and then there's living water. Let me explain. Any water that's rolling along the surface of the ground is going to, at the very minimum, pick up minerals. There are certain places in the desert, in Death Valley, in Arizona, where there's water ponds where they have signs that say, do not drink. They found out that the water has high concentrations of arsenic in it. So minerals leach into water and then become suspended in a colloidal chemistry, and the water, they refer to it as soft water and hard water. So what that means is that if there's only a little bit of minerals dissolved in the water, then the water is soft. But if there's a tremendous amount of mineral in there and it stains the toilet and the sink and the tub, and you can see streaks, and it's hard to get off of the silverware. You see it on the faucet, the imprint of the water when it evaporates and it leaves the crystal deposit of water. Hard water, that these minerals that are suspended in there, they haven't gone through photosynthesis like in living plants. So this is literally dissolved rock that you're taking into your body. So the object is to, either through distilling or reverse osmosis, you take everything out of the water and get it back to just the hydrogen and the oxygen molecule. Clean water. So we have dirty water, clean water. Water then, as it is drawn up through the roots of plants, it goes through a chemical process when the photons from the sun strike the chlorophyll leaves, and what happens is the oxygen is the larger of the molecule, the two. Hydrogen is the smallest of the atoms on the periodic table, and they sit on the oxygen atom, and there's a certain angle of which they are apart. In photosynthesis, the bond angle of the hydrogens increases slightly, altering it from regular dirty water or clean water, and in so doing, this is able to form with 7 other water molecules a water crystal, which is preferentially the type of water that your body wants to have right here. It's quite a ways back now, isn't it? Inside the cell. Preferentially, the body wants to have living water from photosynthesis inside the cell as these structured water crystals that only come from living plants. So I read a book when I was 18, the original juice book from 1936, describing how all of the different vegetable foods and some of the herbs can actually be run through an extractor, and you can drink their liquids, and they have specific biological effects. And the author had compiled a group of formulas of juices that were able to mitigate and in most cases cure all of the different diseases that affect people. So here are the juices, here's the formulas, and here's how to cure the diseases. The book ended. Well, I was certainly impressed with that. I began an experiment with it at the age of 18. Then for 50 years, I have every day, 6 days a week, made myself a half a gallon of living water. So dirty water, clean water, living water. Now back to the dirty water. You're halfway there when you go to the store and you buy water in a soft plastic bottle. Now the problem there is that we're concerned about all the plastic in the ocean, one. We're concerned about just using plastic in general as you know, your carbon footprint, all that kind of stuff today is real big. But what is so easily discernible to myself is that when you use a soft plastic bottle, the plastic is able to outgas itself into the water medium, and the water tastes like plastic. It would be far better that you find a source of either a water distilling machine or an outlet. Major cities have health food stores that have outlets for reverse osmosis water, or to save up and purchase a reverse osmosis unit that you have plumbed in under your sink to get yourself the highest quality clean water, so you don't have to have all of these plastic bottles going to the recycler and then having to be dealt with, and you thinking I'm doing the best I can by drinking this cleaned up water that's flavored with plastic. So there we have it. We've got dirty water, clean water, and living water. COVID-19, the cell membrane. Now, how do you get sick from a virus? In here, the middle of the cell, is the nucleus. In there is a spiral staircase with a written code. That code is responsible for repairing and reproducing each one of the cells in your body. So the cellular code is transferred by RNA to another machine in the cell called the ribosomes. The ribosomes is just simply a factory that assembles amino acids end to end together in a long chain according to the code in order to repair the functions of the cell. What is a virus? Well, they are smaller than a bacteria, and all they are is an envelope with either RNA or DNA, but no other cellular machinery. So in and of themselves, they are unable to reproduce themselves, and in time, they die. Their method of activation is to attach themselves to a host cell, and with enzymes that that they have within themselves, they can bore a hole through the cell membrane and inject their RNA, it's known as RNA polymerase, the enzyme, into our cellular ribosomes, and then clone itself over and over and over and over and over again. And this poisoning of our body with this foreign viral DNA or RNA is responsible for the symptomatology that you get when you have these flu-like symptoms. Now, the only thing you actually have against this are your white blood cells, because whether there's a few of them or a lot of them, it is the role of the white blood cells to recognize them, to amplify their own numbers, to attack them, to envelop them, and to destroy them. But there is a front line of defense before you get to your white blood cells, and it has been found, and this was news that I heard just this week, and refreshed my own memory from years ago when I originally heard this, that a prominent virologist pointed out that zinc, a class 2 ion, is responsible for preventing virus from attaching to the host cell. Problem being, to get zinc into your cell, it is difficult to get across the cell membrane, and it needs a transport molecule. If you're going to supplement zinc, the most bioavailable form is zinc citrate. Still, even zinc citrate needs a little bit of help, and absorption is enhanced at a second level with the flavonoid quercetin. Quercetin is a naturally occurring plant pigment that is found in berries, cherries, dark red onions, and all dark green leaves are rich in this quercetin compound. And of course, these have to be eaten raw, cooked and heavily processed of these foods. A fried onion or a pie made out of berries wouldn't count. But raw quercetin enhances the absorption of zinc into the body. Zinc is present in every cell of the body, and at a food grade level, to find zinc, all you have to do is to go to the seeds. Sunflower, sesame, and pumpkin seeds are rich in zinc. And what do seeds do? Well, you plant them in the ground and they produce life. If you grind them or eat them whole, they produce life in your body. So for 50 years, I have always eaten an abundance of raw seeds and raw nuts, getting an ample supply of living zinc. And then at a time like this, it's a good idea to have one 30 milligram capsule of zinc citrate a day. And if you want to supplement quercetin, it is also available in the natural food stores individually as a dietary supplement. So there you have it. Block the virus from attaching to the cell membrane with zinc and quercetin. So this is a quick overview of the Science of Super Health seminar. I am available to go through point by point by point in more of a 3 to 5 hour seminar for anyone who would like to have me in. And with that, we will end our presentation for today. Thank you for listening. I am Dr. Randy Borresen.